ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It's Thursday, June 12th, and yeah, I'm back at my desk again this week, but I've promised myself to eventually get out on the road, hopefully starting next week, to start doing this weekly video program from various tackle shops all along the Jersey Shore. Deadlines and commitments, what to leave in, what to leave out. That's what leaves me back here working on deadlines. And of course, it didn't help being away from my desk last Friday for the Manhattan Cup, 24th annual Manhattan Cup catch and release striper tournament. And as I said last week, in the forecast going in, the jumbo stripers that had been set up all along the North Jersey coast had pretty much scattered. A lot of them had moved east. We're still getting a few reports of a few fish, and there certainly were some fish caught just off the Monmouth County beaches on Friday, but it was tough fishing, and the folks that did manage to get into a good bite were heading up the East River and out into Long Island Sound. That's where Jenny Ackerman's crew went. They headed upriver towards the Sound. She fished with a bunch of warriors aboard a beautiful Valhalla from Staten Island Yacht Sales with Robert Nico Gill, Purple Heart Valor Award combat veteran and Project Healing Waters ambassador. He's the big
good job. I see him.
Crescitelli and the crew. He's the regional coordinator at the Manhattan Cup. But the warrior who won the coveted Christopher Russo Award for top vet in the Cup was Joanna Sessions, Army E4 specialist, Iraq war vet. First time ever fishing, believe it or not. She told Nico later that she had so much fun at the Manhattan Cup, and it was so fulfilling that she wants to do more with other wounded warriors. Longtime Gateway Marina owner Dick Ketchow was your Manhattan Cup Grand Champion in 2025. He was fishing aboard Don Cartwright's Bill Chaser with a crew of legends that included Captain Howard Bogan, Captain John Raguso, Captain Steve Sherry, Bob Feldsot from Tsunami Tackle, and Dave Valcourt, a massive striper up there along the Western Sound, I believe, is where they were fishing, a 50-inch catch and release striper. Not too shabby. Well done, Dick. I also bumped into a young man named Leo Atrando, the 12-year-old shown here with his old man by his side and another old man on his other side. Out there at the Manhattan Cup, he had turned 12 years old on Thursday, and Dad said, Dad Lou, he said, we're going to get you to play hooky on Friday, and that's what he did. He played hooky, put his hook into the largest striper of the day in the bait division. Congratulations, my friend. Nicely done. And we're going to have a full feature on the Manhattan Cup because it was a cool event. A tough start to the day, but as Frank Crescitelli will tell us in the video that'll be out in about a week or two, it's all part and parcel of this entire Manhattan Cup, honoring wounded veterans, wounded warriors, and it really got its start right after 9/11. So God bless Frank and everybody else. Now, for the most part, I was forced to admit last week, like I said, the migratory striper run has mostly now moved past New Jersey, out east, Montauk, into New England waters. But I did get an email this week from Ryan Sumption, who follows our channel, and he also follows striped bass, from the March-April bite on the Delaware on up into Atlantic City, which is where he caught this jumbo, caught and released, fell for a dead eel. Followed back up with Ryan. I assume that's some night creeping of late. Again, some folks are still getting some good stripers out along the front beaches. A lot of night bite fish. But John at Betty and Nick's in Seaside had a good report on Monday and Tuesday with some bigger stripers in along the beach in those foggier conditions. A lot of folks are soaking clam in the surf right now. The night creepers are going out there and throwing plugs and plastics. The folks setting up during the day are putting out some clams because you could get a striper or a black drum at this point. Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle, for example, said Matt and Matthew P. had some fun fishing in Brigantine on Monday morning, nailing the bass on salted Riptide rotter. That's clam, salted clam, but bass and black drum. When you're soaking clam, fresh is best, but in a pinch, you can't go wrong with the salted clam. It's definitely on the menu, primarily around the Absecon Inlet area, Atlantic City, Brigantine, north into Long Beach Island, and of course, as we mentioned, along the Ocean County Suds but still, there are opportunities for striped bass and black drum. By the way, Andy wanted me to remind folks of the upcoming VFW Flounder Fiasco Tournament on June 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. That's a fish around the clock flounder fiasco. Captain Andy has details at the shop. You can stop by and get them or give him a call at 609-264-0440. This Saturday, saddle up for the first annual Flounder Roundup out of Cape Horn Marina on the Great Bay. And it's an exclusive bay tournament with boundaries from Atlantic City to Oyster Creek and Waretown. Single biggest fish payout, 70% of first place, 20% to second, and 10% to third. Now, Cape Horn is located on Seven Bridges Road in Little Lake Harbor. Tuckerton, you can call Joe, 609-377-4394. Now, we'll head offshore for tilefish, take another look at bluefin tuna and the South Jersey sheepshead options out back. But first, we check in with Jenny Ackerman and her Super Fluker Challenge Part 2.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Open Boat, and we're on part 2 of the Super Flukers Challenge. And a couple weeks ago, remember, I asked you guys to catch a fish on a bucktail. We're still keeping that task at hand all the way through the end of fluke season. But for the second part, now you can send me your pictures of fluke caught on a teaser. And it doesn't have to be a fancy teaser, like the bucktail teaser rig. I'm gonna give you a bunch of cheat codes right now for if you're fishing off the boat or off the surf. So on my rod right now, I literally just have a dropper loop with a 4.0 bait holder hook. That's my teaser. You can see down here at the bottom, I have my bucktail, and then up here, I have my teaser. But you don't have to just do a naked teaser hook. You could do something like this. This is the Tsunami Hollow Teaser, and it's a skirt, and you slide it up, and there's that same bait holder hook. Now, if you're fishing off the surf, I like to use a 3 or 4.0, but if you're fishing off of a boat, that's when I do like a 5 and 6. 5 if I'm in the back bays, but once the ocean bite starts heating up, I only use 6 because I'm looking for big fish. So here's that teaser, and then the bucktail is a little ways down here. You can also, if you're fluking off of the surf, get rid of the bucktail on the bottom and tie on a light sinker, like a bank or a coin sinker. The options are endless, and you can even tie on a hand-tied bucktail teaser. So you could do like one with the bucktail hair. They have like the sand eel ones, but some of the like Nantucket candies work great too. Literally for fluke, anything that has a hook and that has a bait on the end of it, it'll catch. So you guys know the drill. We got the bucktail last week. Now catch your fluke on a teaser and send it to me, and stay tuned for more of the Super Fluker Challenge to come. And I will see you guys on next week's Open Boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
I did forecast 4 out of 5 bucktails for this past weekend's fluking, but look at that. Depends on where you are fishing, I guess, and this blind squirrel found 2 nuts, up to 22 inches. Back Bay, bucktail with a Fish Bites Fight Club grub on the bottom, and I'm typically using a Tin Man floating jig head up top with a yellow firetail gulp. The fish were taken on both sides. But you want to check the belly contents. If you're out there fluking this weekend, next couple of days, whatever you bring home, make sure you check those belly contents, because you're going to find out what those fish are feeding on. A lot of fish right now are eating shrimp, not just grass shrimp, but those bigger mantis shrimp. I spoke to my buddy Captain Joe Rizzo, Barnegat Bay Fishing Charters, the other day. The grizzled old salt and Bayman said he's seeing some more of those mantis shrimp in the bellies of the fluke that he's bringing back. Spot 2, Lafayette's. The range has really expanded in recent years. Those old Cape May goodies are being feasted upon by jumbo fluke on up the Jersey coast, not just in Cape May County, but we're finding spot throughout the range, all the way up into Raritan Bay. A buddy of mine is actually, he's sabiki rigging in the upper stretches of Barnegat Bay spot on a regular nightly basis and putting them in the pen. I'm so keyed in on light bucktails and artificials, but my buddy Bob, he and his wife Steph, are quick to remind me in photos that they like to text over about the benefits of drifting live spot, even in the bays in spring. Now, a quick reminder to the folks that are fishing down on the Delaware Bay for summer flounder. The minimum size limit for the Delaware side has just gone up to 17.5 inches as of June 1st. For New Jersey anglers on the Delaware Bay, you have that 3 at 17-inch minimum and the 3 fish bag west of the coal regs. But keep in mind, if you're going over to the other side of the bay, on the Delaware side, first time in memory, right, the last couple of years, that on the Delaware side, it's a 4 fish bag limit, but it is now at 17.5 inches. New Jersey anglers west of the coal regs on the Delaware Bay get 3 fish at 17. Another option, in addition to the back bay summer flounder bite, it's improving every day. That's the sheepshead fishery, especially in the southern half of the Garden State, Atlantic and Cape May County. Bridge structure, bulkheads, sod banks, and the rubble. The folks at Ray Scott's Dock in Margate said the sheepshead bite is in full swing right now, with fiddlers, calicos, and sand fleas, the preferred bait, ostensibly in those Atlantic County waters. On Wednesday morning, Edgar Chu messaged to tell me he's alive and well, and he's fishing at his new favorite spot in Cape May County, where he got himself a sheepshead from shore this week. I hear that pier, by the way, is in pretty awesome condition since all of the repair work. Now, I lost the message, but someone sent me a shot of what appears to be sheepshead swimming around in waters in northern Ocean County, my nape of the neck, so to speak. So it might be time for more folks throughout the Garden State to start giving that fishery a shot. My suggestion is, if you're going out fluking, for example, in between 2 tides, you're working the outgoing and then the incoming, and you've got to struggle your way through that ebb tide, put some sand fleas or some fiddler crabs or some calico crabs or some cheddar crab in the box, and at ebb tide, not at ebb tide, when it's not moving, that transitional time, right? When it's not moving, you're in between tides and no water is moving, that's the time. Give that an hour shot. Around the bridge structure, around the bulkheads, someplace deep perhaps, right along some bridge structure, but there's no telling where these sheepshead may set up. So take your time, that hour-long slack tide in between your 2 tides of fluke fishing. Take those crabs out, maybe give it a shot. Migratory expansion and the approaching official start of summer in a couple of weeks means more of these surprises, and we don't know yet how far north the sheepshead is going to range at this point. But as referenced in our digital weekly edition cover shot this week, cobia at Barnegat South Jetty. That was the call out on the cover this week. And here's the catch. From A. Martone 112, reported on June 8th by the folks at Fisherman's headquarters in Ship Bottom, a 26.5-inch cobia while hunting for fluke using Berkeley gulp shrimp. Again, mantis shrimp? Maybe. Keep in mind, a smaller cobia like that is not a keeper. Check the regulations. You'll find them in the Marine Fisheries Digest. I believe we're up to 143-inch or 243-inch fish right now. So that's halfway there, but it's good to see that those cobia are starting to come into our inshore waters at this point as well. By the way, down LBI Way, I saw the Miss Barnegat Light is back in action. She was getting some engine work done, but she's fishing for fluke and sea bass. We do have about a week left on New Jersey's spring fishery for black sea bass, 12.5-inch size limit and a 10-fish bag limit. Get ye to a Headboat this weekend. You'll find all the boats that are sailing in that June edition. Go to the report section in the middle of the magazine. It's like a yellow pages. You can find out all the boats at the Jersey Shore, what they're sailing for, and get yourself onto a Headboat. Just don't forget, when you bring one of those humpbacks aboard, before letting the mate clean that fish, hold that big one, that 4-pound and over black sea bass, because you could get yourself into the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. Believe it or not, at last check, we don't have any black sea bass on the leaderboard. It's wide open. Folks, it's ripe for the picking, and you have another week as a Fisherman subscriber to get that knothead on the board. That said, I have heard some rumors of the first true doormat, 10 pounds and up, registered in the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. For more on that, we'll go back to the virtual studio and my good friend, Tim Smith.
Now it's time for the Dreamboat update. We have Thomas Luciano, Long Island subscriber from West Sayville, New York, entering 2 fish this week. A sea robin weighing in at 2.76 pounds and a weak fish coming in at 7.98 pounds. These were weighed in at Chasing Tails and putting Thomas first in the weak fish category and 5th in the sea robin class. Next is Fernando Lage from Seymour, Connecticut, with his second entry of the contest, weighing in his 8th place sea robin at D's Bait and Tackle at 2.18 pounds. Then we have Jeffrey Harrison, a digital subscriber, taking 3rd with a weak fish of 6.05 pounds, weighed in at We Go Bait and Tackle. Another weigh-in at We Go Bait and Tackle is Garrett Krause, Long Island subscriber from Jamesport, New York, taking 4th in the weak fish category at 6 pounds. Taking 6th place in the weak fish category at 5.18 pounds is Long Island subscriber Frank Pittori of Syosset, New York, weighed in at J&J Sports. From Brooklyn, New York is Long Island subscriber Rashawn Williams, weighing in his 13.06 pound fluke at East Coast Fishing, taking top shot in the fluke category. The leaderboard stands at Thomas Luciano with 21 points, Rashawn Williams at 10 points, and Sean Brownyard holding in there at 9 points. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
We had 3 fish hit the board this week in the Coastal Kayak Clash, and that resulted in quite a shakeup at the top of the tournament. David Dew continued his relentless barrage of qualifying fish with a 21.5-inch sea bass, which now leads the category. Tom Hood took 3rd in the bluefish category with his 29.25-inch chopper. Todd Trions kept the heat on as well, upgrading his 3rd place striped bass to 41 inches. The top of the leaderboard now looks like this. We have Eddie Roman in 3rd place with 4 points. We have Tom Hood in 2nd place, also with 4 points, and David Dew now sits at the top with 6 total points.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
Not just the Dreamboat, folks, but subscribers to the Fisherman magazine get full digital access to that weekly digital edition. My offshore column this week breaks down the bluefin madness, the regulatory madness that we spoke about last week. It hit us hard as of June 3rd. We're going to revisit that issue in just a couple of moments based on some viewer feedback. But first, that's going to be about 4 minutes away. We're going to check in with George Schauer, our Pocono Outdoors guy, for the freshwater roundup first.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Enjoying some beautiful sunshine out here in the middle of June. Things are starting to really warm up. Water temperatures are warming up. If we could just get it to stop raining for a bit, I think we'd be in much better shape. You know, waters are still running a little bit high and stained, so hopefully we can get fingers crossed a clear weekend at some point so we can get out and do a little bit more fishing. But things are improving overall. For a couple of check-ins this week, wanted to say thank you to Dr. Adam Aguiar. He was out reminding us that the 10th annual Youth Fishing Challenge was last week, June 7th, and they had 50 to 60 kids between 4 and 18 years old participate in the event. A lot of great fish here. Kids got out. They had an appreciation for the outdoors, learned some fun activities, and really get into appreciating the environment and things to do in the outdoors as well. So great for that. Thank you very much, Dr. Aguiar, for that one, and great event. Look forward to that next year as well. Also, staying in New Jersey, lots of things going on. We had a longtime follower, Jen Wong, check in. Oh, he was out at Merrill Creek with Chris Pereira, and they were out getting a bunch of smallmouth, even some those salmon that Jim talked about last week, and some of the lake trout as well. You know, Jersey does a really good job stocking some of those species you don't see every day. Hopefully Pennsylvania will take a page out of New Jersey's playbook and get some of those things you don't see every day. I think there's lots of lakes in the area that would do well supporting the Atlantic salmon, maybe some lake trout. Maybe even some freshwater drum. That would be exciting on some lightweight line. We'll see if they ever listen, but I think it would do well for Pennsylvania to expand themselves out of their box as far as stocking goes. Let's see, we also had, going over to Chris Johnson, him and his boys were out. They had the Delaware River Youth Tournament. He had 2 of his boys enter, and they came in on top. Young Mason took second place with a 5.5 pound channel catfish. Some great work there, Mason. And his son Matthew took first with a 9 pound striper out of the Delaware. So great work there, guys. Really appreciate you checking things in with us. Also up in Wallenpaupack, our good friend Will Grouper, he's still at it on these stripers. So Wallenpaupack continues to produce, doing well on those stripers. Now our good friend Tim Keeble, you usually see him on the Delaware. Well, he was out with Rick Hennifer. They were out on the Susquehanna River with Susky Small Jaw Guide Service, putting a hurting on those smallmouth out there. You know, the Susky is known for great smallmouth, and they were out there taking advantage of some great fishing as well. Just another tip, guys, bass officially opens this week on Saturday. So if you want to get out and keep a few bass for whatever reason, it's certainly open to do so. But by all means, just get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
I referenced before the digital weekly edition. Subscribers get access to 26 digital weeklies on top of the 12 monthly. That's 38 issues a year. And if you look at our digital edition this week, you'll see the news brief. It's also in our calendar of events in that June edition. But the Tuna Open Tournament presented by the Beach Haven Marlin and Tuna Club is this weekend. It's starting on Saturday. Longfin, yellowfin, big eye, and bluefin tuna. So there is variety in that event that runs all next week. Get details in the Fisherman magazine. You can also go over to tunaopen.com. Now, looking ahead towards the offshore weather forecast from Marine NOAA Weather for this weekend, Hudson to Baltimore, it looks good for those of you who are going to do a little pre-fishing on Friday before that tournament. Saturday looks good as well. From the other side of the hallway, however, you take the NOAA Marine forecast, the NOAA Marine weather folks, we go across the other side of the hall and we check in with the NOAA Fisheries folks, and we don't have such a good forecast because that's bluefin tuna. We're stuffing sausages. Last week we talked about it, but there was a YouTube comment this week regarding our bluefin tuna mess. It was directed at my breakdown of the situation from last week. Stew Dog questioned why I left the commercial permits out when talking about how the wrecks got screwed over. Well, let's go into that because now we're getting deeper into the issue. The general category retention limit, general category, that's the commercial folks, those hook and line commercial guys. One large, medium, or giant bluefin tuna, 73 inches or greater per vessel per day per trip. That's as of June 1st. and through the rest of this month. We'll see what happens in July with the Bureau of Commercial Fisheries, aka the National Marine Fisheries Service, otherwise known as the Gloucester Chamber of Commerce. They're going to get another peek at things, and a lot of times they change the commercial fisheries on the fly. Hopefully they'll change recreational fisheries on the fly as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. Meanwhile, the commercial harpooners of New England, their June retention limit has also been adjusted to 5 large, medium, and giant bluefin tuna 73 inches or greater combined per vessel per day per trip. But they can have no more than 2 of those 5 be large, medium tuna. Those are 73 inches to less than 81 inches. The action on the harpooners as well is effective June 1st through November 15th, unless so modified by later action by NOAA Fisheries. Now, as a reminder, where we were last year, 2024, as compared to this year. Last year, it was 2 school bluefin limit, a pair of tuna from 27 to less than 47 inches, one from 47 to 73 inches. For those of you fishing on charter or headboats, little different regulations. Actually, the charter boats had 3 school bluefin, while headboat passengers finally had reasonable access to this fishery for the first time since the history that predates everything being offloaded to the commercial side, because 30 years ago, we had a pretty good fishery on the headboats. But again, in 2024, there were 12 school bluefin and a couple of 47 to 73 inches for all anglers on a headboat to enjoy. This season, on the other hand, one measly 27 to less than 47 inch for HMS Permit holders in the private angler category, charter and party boat passengers, 2 of these school tuna, and no one in the angling community is allowed a fish over 47 inches. Again, as mentioned last week and covered in more detail in our digital weekly edition out this week, more bluefin tuna available means more recreational fisheries, more recreational fishermen participating in the fishery. How more guys want to participate in a growing fishery, but the government folks of this unique bluefin tuna fishery don't seem to want to help grow our recreational community. They brag about the rebirth and the rebuild of bluefin tuna, but they don't give us any threshold to continue to grow. On the other hand, they will adapt on the fly during the season for the comms. Case in point is this chart on the screen from 2024 quotas and landings. Now, it starts with a base quota. In the general category last season, it was 710.7 metric tons of bluefin tuna. The angling community was set at 297.4 metric tons. The longliners got 234.3, and the harpooners were assigned 59.2. Yes, commercials have more share of the recreational, but that's not really the real problem. I'm going to show you. Take a closer look to the right of the 2024 base quota column. The 2024 adjusted quota column, the National Commercial Fisheries Service, NOAA Fisheries, at some point during the season decided to use the 134.1 metric ton under harvest allowance from the previous year, 2023, and they applied that to the 2024 quotas to give the general category and the harpoon folks a little extra loving last year. Long lines stayed flat, and so did the angling category. So the general category commercials got an extra 160 metric tons handed to them last year. The harpooners got an extra 11 metric tons. The point I'm making here is that, yes, some folks are talking about the angling quota. We went over the angling quota last year. That's because we don't have fleet capacity reductions. We're trying to bring new anglers into the community. And as we talk about the bluefin fishery, as the North Carolina pier fishermen start to say, look they're inside the beaches, we don't have any way of expanding our quota because NOAA won't give us more quota. They won't forecast it. The idea of an open access fishery where the American public is given an opportunity to participate in this American fishery, it doesn't exist because they don't give us anything. And as more and more anglers get into the bluefin fishery, NOAA Fisheries has to figure out a way of forecasting those trends to provide us more quota, but they don't. So anyone who dares to pontificate otherwise is not being entirely truthful. Some big fat bloated deer tick out there, he's screaming about the angling press. Oh, you guys stink in the sport fishing industry and you fail to represent or recognize the accountability. Yeah, they're not really divulging their true intentions, and that's that they like it this way because that keeps more fishermen from getting involved. Arrogant, elitist snobs who would like to see fewer anglers. Let me piggyback on that observation just for a moment because 3 of our permitting categories went over their base quota in 2024. Again, that's because there's so many darn bluefin out there. Longliners were under their base quota. General comms were over their base by 128%. Harpooners over their base by 127%. Anglers over their base by 152%. All right? But what the good government folks out of Gloucester did was that they applied their fisheries math to the equation by using surplus quota from the previous year to give the comms an additional 170.3 metric tons of harvest, where the anglers got nothing additional. So here we are in 2025, not asking for a handout, mind you, we're just asking for a little hand. I would add 2024 is the first time that anglers went over their bluefin quota, according to NOAA, since 2009. This isn't habitual. Last year was an extraordinary season, but it shows it's growing and our community needs more tuna. But again, as I said, the Commercial Fisheries Service, gotta stop that. The National Marine Fisheries Service was good for tweaking quota last year in the general and the harpoon category, but we're not getting any additional access. The problem here is we need more quota at the federal level and at the global level. We got to send these delegates. We got to get more quota for the United States. This is a uniquely American fishery. So like in 2024, when general commercial folks received a boost of more than 22% additional, harpoon folks got an increase of 18%, anglers, niente, stugats, and that's the can of worms that I mentioned Stew Dog opening before. It's not me, but it's a good thing that he did because that's what our advocates in the recreational fishing community are trying to explain to NOAA Fisheries right now. Now, the word that I'm hearing bubbling under the surface is they are making some headway, and it's possible, it's entirely possible that the angling and for hire HMS fishery could see a tweak in the coming days, which apparently may be in place by July 1st. If and when that does happen, we will let you know right here in the weekly video. You'll find all about it in the July edition of the Fisherman magazine, because that comes out in about a week and a half. And of course, the Fisherman magazine, thefisherman.com. Stay tuned. We're not asking for much. In the angling community, NOAA Fisheries, we're just asking that you help us the same way that you help the commercial sector. More yellowfin on the 61 Jersey nuts with sterling tackle diamond stingers doing the job. That was on Friday, this past Friday. And we noted that too in our weekly edition reports at thefisherman.com. We're hoping to see more of those yellowfin moving up from the southern canyons because I'm sure that 61 Jersey nuts charter is probably heading down to the southern canyons, and soon enough we will see more action in our central and North Jersey canyons. Think Hudson to Linden Cole, something like that. Tilefish, though, has been the biggest target for those anglers heading offshore. It's a fishery that continues to expand as tackle is geared more towards that deep drop fishery, from tilefish jigs and rigs to larger capacity spools and even those electric reels. My buddy John Gibbons had a beautiful day in the Hudson on June 3rd. Aboard his boat G4, said he caught plenty of golden tiles, including these 2 45-inch fish. Now, John wanted me to remind folks that you do need a tilefish permit. So in addition to your HMS permit, if you're going to be tile fishing, you need that tilefish permit, and you need to report your catches, as John noted, on the eFin Boat app. You can get all the information on what you need to do, what you need to have aboard your vessel if you're chasing tuna and tilefish and swordfish, by going over to the HMS Permits shop. That's hmspermits.noaa.gov. Now, we've got threshers around in our coastal waters as well. No mako fishery offshore, but we do have threshers anywhere from just off the beach, and I'm saying just outside the breakers, to on out 10 miles or more. I was talking to our offshore field editor, Tom P., this week while he was working at Creekside Outfitters. He said a lot of folks there at the shop are gearing up for the thresher shark fishery, inshore mid-range fishery. Remember, if you're tangling with any shark outside of 3 miles, you need that HMS permit. So even if you're staying inshore looking for threshers, you might as well go get the HMS permit, especially if you're on a smaller boat and you get a 500-pound thresher that drags you out past the 3-mile line. Down off of Indian River Inlet in Delaware, Paul Plummer of Ocean View, Delaware, with Marylanders Gene Bauer and Denny Lara hooked up with his 299-pound, 84-inch thresher using mackerel. They brought that to hook 'em and cook 'em aboard the Salty Hook. They were just 4 miles due east of Indian River Inlet, and I expect we're going to see more of that inshore mid-range fishery in the coming days. It's been a while since we tackled inshore sharking in print in the Fisherman magazine, but I'm going to leave you with a little link in the YouTube description, access to a how-to article by Nick Honicheski at thefisherman.com titled, appropriately enough, Inshore Coastal Sharkin', in which Nick describes the tools, the bait, and the tactics you need to get into this nearshore coastal fishery. Finally, this week, we're going to end on a positive note, something that I wasn't able to share in last week's video fishing forecast, but something to keep in mind for 2026. In honor of the late Bob Popovics, June 1st will now forever be memorialized as Bob Pop Flies Popovics Day here in the Garden State. Awesome news. I suggest you and I get our paperwork in order for Monday, June 1st, 2026. Take the day off, make the best of a holiday, and teach ourselves to fly fish. Or just take advantage of fly fishing if you're already into it. I have a deadline, July edition. Working on that here at my desk this week. I will be out fluke fishing this week, so look for me out there. But you can always reach me here while I'm working and around the clock, even though I'm not answering around the clock. Hit me up, Hutchinson at thefisherman.com. Share your photos. We'll try to get them here in this weekly video. Help make the reports here at thefisherman.com. By the way, happy Father's Day to the dads out there. Hutch Sr., my good friend. I hope you get that doormat this weekend, my friend. Catch him up. I'll see you out there. And we'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.